Welcome to another episode of Success Today. I'm your host, Jack Canfield. And my next guest is Keiko Izushi. She's currently in Bali. She's a hypnotherapist or hypnotist. She's also started this wonderful retreat center called Harum Sari, which we're going to talk about. I'm really excited about the work she's doing. I think you will be too. Welcome to the show, Keiko.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So let's start by you just telling us a little bit more about your background, where you're coming from, then we'll get into more of the current things.
Sure. In 2004, if you remember, there was this giant tsunami hit Aceh, Sumatra in Indonesia, and then everything was washed away except for a few coconut trees, and then there was this big, huge steel ship in the middle of nowhere. That was when I was working as a humanitarian worker with the United Nations World Food Program, really burned out, working for others, and then neglecting ourselves. That is when I went to Bali. Like my friend said, let's go to Bali detoxing. So that's how I discovered this Bali. And then ever since I wanted to create some sanctuary for myself 20 years back. But by the way, I have witnessed during this 25, almost 30 years of serving United Nations, I have seen so many human sufferings, desperation, such as this tsunami. But then also I served in Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Rome headquarters, different parts of the world, Cambodia. So then that's what I wrote in the recent best-selling book, Against All Odds. My chapter is called Cry of the Voiceless, Finding Light in the Darkest Corners of the World, because I wanted to give a voice to these normal people and their suffering, yet their resilience. The chapter covers Cambodia, Rohingya camp in Bangladesh, Kyrgyzstan. So it was my memoir with the United Nations. And then also I dedicate this chapter to my colleagues who lost their lives in the Humanitarian act, ultimate sacrifice, because their voice, their lives have to be heard. That was my chapter, this book, which I co-authored with Lisa Nichols, our friend.
Right, Lisa's a good lady.
Yes, and in the middle of COVID 2020, I took an early retirement from this UN. And then I hate to say it retirement because it's like a tiring, retiring. I'm not that tired yet. So I created this Harum Sari in my second act. During this COVID, actually, this was really timely because after the COVID, like many people lost a job, they were fired from the job which they didn't like anyway, but they need to stop and then look inside, just like I needed to do it after this tsunami emergency. In Italian, they say dolce far niente, like a sweetness of doing nothing. Yoga and then meditation, I found myself, I found my passion. So I wanted to create a sanctuary for other people. So.
You just explained one of the wines I love to drink, which is far niente.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Now I'm aware of that when I do that. So almost 30 years in the UN, you're wearing a 25-year, acknowledgement there on your lapel. What compelled you to do that? Let's go back that far for a moment. Here you are, you're graduating from whatever, and now you decide you're going to go do humanitarian work. What was it that made you decide that?
Yeah, in 1988, I was 25 years old. And then since the teenager, if you remember this Band-Aid, We Are the World.
Yeah.
And then I saw this on TV, this skeleton like starving children. I just could not accept that. If there is more than enough food on this planet to feed 8 billion people, 9 billion people, then why 1 in 10 people are starving, going to bed hungry?
Right.
And every 7 seconds, children under 5 years old die of hunger or malnutrition. So I told my father, I want to work for the UN. He laughed at me. I love my father who's 90 years old, but he just did what he knew the best. He called me a Christmas cake because I was 25 years old. After 26th of December, nobody wants to go to the bakery to buy you,
Oh, that's terrible.
I know it's terrible. Like, do I have an expiry date?
Right.
And then he wanted to arrange marriage for me. he said, well, woman wouldn't need a master's degree. So I could not study in the US or USA or UK because without his financial support. So I've got a Mexican scholarship of $300 a month. That was the poorest time in my life to pursuing my dream. And 100 went for the rent, 100 went for food, and then 100 I was photocopying all the textbook because I could not afford to buy the textbook.
That's commitment.
That was the moment which I cannot forget. The poorest time, but the most beautiful because I was standing on my own feet, pursuing my dream. So that was my TEDx talk at Nagoya University TEDx back in Japan. It's called Come to the Edge and Set Off. The message is when you pursue your heart desire, your dream, even with the fears, the universe will reward you.
Yes.
And much more than you expected. Like I did not know the countries like Afghanistan or Kyrgyzstan, and then my experience with the UN was just amazing.
Okay, so then you end up in Bali. Mm-hmm. You think you're going there just to rest. The next thing you know, you've created Harum Sari. Talk about that.
Yeah, Harum Sari retreat, that was also a big jump because in 2020, I was sending my retirement fund to Bali. My father thought I was crazy.
There's a theme here.
Yes, because anything could happen, right? And because I could not travel. So in 2021, finally I traveled to Bali. I was sitting in front of this swimming pool, and then I closed my eye, I pinched myself, and then it was real. And then it was much more than I had expected because the community came, thanked me, because my construction was the only one that was doing a noise, making a noise during this COVID and giving workers a job. So when you do it, something courageously, fearlessly, audaciously, really, and then even we got this marble floor, like less than half price. So these are the things I did not really expect. I followed my dream, followed my heart, and then, I really felt the universe reward the action when you do such a thing.
I absolutely agree with that. So tell us a little about the purpose of the retreat. What do you do with people when they come there, and what's your goal for them?
Detoxing. Because in our modern society, there are so many toxicities, physical and emotional. Just like I did it 20 years back, fasting, colon cleansing. I was eating so much because of the stress. Mm-hmm. And then also I realized that there is so much stress and an emotion in my gut. It's oftentimes we think there's something missing in ourselves. So adding supplement. But then oftentimes the solution is letting go, detoxing, right? And then also align to yourself. You need to stop, get away from all the toxicities, and then look inside. Yeah, one needs this space. So we provide that space with a positive energy, and then a lot of praying energy is there. And Balinese philosophy, we call it Hita Karana, meaning human to human, human to God, and human to nature in total harmony.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, good.
And then I believe it's a connection of a mind, body, and soul or spirit. I think solution is not by division, but in a connection.
Right. So Harum Sari, what does that mean?
Harum means smile, and Sari means a flower in local language. Inspiration came when my son was 5 years old. He said, "Mama, when you're angry, you're like a monster, but when you smile, you're like a flower." So I really like that sentiment.
How old is your son now?
28 years old.
I know, I can't believe my children are as old as they are. It goes by so fast. It's such a cliche, but it's really true. So people come there, they get to detox, they meditate, and there's prayer going on and connecting with nature and all that. That's beautiful. If people want to come to your retreat, where do they go? How do they find out about it?
Oh, it's my website, izushikeiko.com. I think it is written down there.
Yeah.
Also, this Harum Sari retreat.com. I want to use everything, all the potential within me, and then giving. So then when I take the final breath, there's nothing left in me. And then again, the Balinese, they call it a funeral, is not for mourning, but a celebration. So I would like my life to be a big celebration, a life well lived, well loved. Also, I cannot wait to be a grandmother. My son is not ready for that. But just like that's something on the horizon. I want to see myself being a badass grandmother.
Badass grandmother. I love it. You know, it's funny you mentioned the Balinese ceremony at death and transition. And I've been to Bali and I've witnessed some people coming down the street, so much joy, so much celebration going on. It's beautiful. So success for you is fulfilling your potential, living it out fully. And as someone once said, dying with nothing left inside. It's all been given and you've fulfilled who you are and
Yeah,
all that. Yeah.
that is success to me. Although many people associate success with money,
Right.
6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. I like to joke myself being a billionaire, but in Indonesian rupiah, so many, so many zeros.
Yeah, there you go. That's funny.
Yeah.
I once defined success for me as fulfilling my soul's purpose. And I think yours is very close. It's fulfilling the potential of what wants to be expressed through you as you, which is divine and unique and wonderful. So thank you very much for, first of all, coming here, being on the show, inspiring people, letting them know that it's important to live their dream, follow their heart, stand up to Father, whatever, whatever they need to do to let themselves do that. And thank you for your years of service to the world. I mean, with the UN, that's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.